Stillness purifies your energy because most inner pollution is created by constant movement of the mind. The mind was not designed to be busy all the time, yet most people never allow it to rest. Thought follows, thought without pause, like dust constantly stirred into the air. When there is no pause, nothing settles. Inner stillness is the moment when you stop stirring the dust. You do not need to fight your thoughts or control them aggressively. You only need to stop feeding them with attention. When attention withdraws, activity slows down naturally. This slowing is not emptiness, it is clarity returning. Energy becomes heavy when it is scattered. Every unnecessary reaction fragments your presence. Every emotional impulse pulls you outward. Stillness gathers what has been lost. When the body stops moving and the breath becomes steady, the mind follows. The nervous system begins to shift from defense to balance. In this state, your energy no longer leaks through anxiety, fear, or impatience. It stays within you, becoming stable and clean. This is why people who are still carry weight without effort. Their presence feels grounded because nothing inside them is rushing. Stillness is often misunderstood as weakness or passivity, but it is the opposite. It requires strength to remain unmoved when everything around you demands reaction. The world trains you to respond instantly, to give opinions, to defend, to explain. Each reaction adds noise. Stillness is the refusal to be dragged by every stimulus. When you choose not to react, you conserve energy. Conserved energy becomes clarity. Clarity sharpens perception. With sharper perception, confusion dissolves on its own. When you sit in stillness, unresolved emotions begin to surface. This is not a sign that stillness is harmful. It is a sign that stillness is honest. Noise hides discomfort. Silence reveals it. As emotions rise, the instinct is to escape, distract, or suppress. But if you remain still and observe without judgment, those emotions lose their grip. They are allowed to pass without becoming identity. This process cleans energy at its root because the energy was never dirty. It was simply trapped in resistance. Stillness also restores rhythm to your inner system. Modern life forces unnatural speed. Thoughts race faster than the body can process. This mismatch creates tension. In stillness, the body resets its natural pace. Breath deepens. Muscles release unnecessary holding. The mind learns that it does not need to be alert all the time. From this state, energy flows evenly instead of spiking and crashing. Even flow is clean flow. Another effect of stillness is the strengthening of awareness. When there is movement, awareness is divided. When there is stillness, awareness becomes whole. You begin to notice subtle sensations, quiet thoughts, small emotional shifts. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is refinement. Refined awareness allows you to sense when your energy is being disturbed and withdraw before damage occurs. Over time, this creates a natural boundary around you. External chaos no longer enters easily. Stillness does not require isolation or long hours. Even moments of intentional pause during the day can cleanse accumulated tension. A few conscious breaths before speaking, a brief silence before responding, standing still while the urge to rush passes. These small acts prevent energy from becoming contaminated. They retrain the nervous system to choose calm over impulse. When stillness becomes a habit, your presence changes. People may not understand why they feel calmer around you. You speak less, but when you do, your words carry weight. You move without hurry, yet nothing feels delayed. This is the result of energy that is no longer wasted. Purified energy does not seek attention. It does not need validation. It simply exists, steady, clear, and contained. Unreleased emotions create inner heaviness because what is not expressed or understood does not disappear, it settles inside. Every emotion carries energy, and when that energy has no direction, it turns inward. Anger that is swallowed becomes tension. Sadness that is ignored becomes weight. Fear that is denied becomes restlessness. Over time, these layers accumulate, and the body carries what the mind refuses to face. This is why heaviness is felt not only emotionally, but physically. In the chest, the shoulders, the breath. Most people are taught to suppress rather than process. They learn to stay functional, to move on quickly, to appear strong. But suppression is not strength. It is delayed reaction. What is pushed down waits for the right moment to surface, often through irritation, exhaustion, or sudden emotional outbursts that seem unrelated to the present moment. The mind forgets, but the nervous system remembers. The body keeps the record of every unresolved experience. Honor heaviness is the result of resistance. When an emotion arises, the immediate response is often to label it as bad or unwanted. This judgment creates friction. Instead of allowing the emotion to pass through, the mind tightens around it. That tightening traps energy. The longer it is held, the denser it becomes. This density dulls perception, drains motivation, and clouds decision-making. Life feels harder not because it is harder, but because the weight being carried is unnecessary. Releasing emotional weight does not mean acting out emotions or unloading them onto others. It means allowing them to be felt fully without interpretation or story. Emotion is a sensation before it becomes a narrative. When you stay with the sensation rather than the story, it completes its cycle. Tears may come, breath may deepen, muscles may release. This is not weakness, it is regulation. The system returns to balance once the energy is allowed to move. Observation is the key. When an emotion is observed without identification, it loses authority. You begin to see that emotions arise, change, and dissolve on their own. They are temporary states, not permanent truths. The heaviness comes from believing the emotion is you. When that belief is removed, space opens. In that space, energy flows again. Lightness is not created, it is revealed. Many people fear emotional release because they believe it will overwhelm them. In reality, what overwhelms is long-term suppression. A single moment of honest feeling is lighter than years of avoidance. The body is designed to process emotion quickly when it is not interrupted by judgment. Children cry and return to play within minutes. Adults hold and accumulate. The difference is conditioning, not capacity. Unreleased emotions also distort perception. When inner weight builds, neutral situations are interpreted as threats. Small inconveniences trigger large reactions. Patience shortens. Compassion fades. This is not a character flaw, it is emotional fatigue. The system is overloaded. Releasing stored emotion restores clarity. When the inner space is clean, responses become proportionate. Calm returns without effort. There is also a connection between emotional release and presence. When emotions are trapped, attention is pulled into the past. Regret, resentment, and unresolved conflict anchor the mind behind you. Heaviness is often the sensation of being dragged by what has already happened. Releasing emotional weight brings attention back to the present moment. The present is naturally lighter because it has not yet accumulated memory. Letting go does not require confrontation or explanation. Sometimes it is as simple as acknowledging what was felt and allowing it to be complete. Silence can be enough. Breath can be enough. Awareness itself can dissolve what force cannot. Each time an emotion is released, space increases. Energy that was locked away becomes available. Movement becomes easier. Decisions become clearer. The body responds with relief. The mind responds with quiet. Awareness cleans what reaction corrupts because reaction is mechanical, while awareness is intentional. Reaction happens when the mind is pulled by stimulus before understanding has time to arise. It is fast, unconscious, and repetitive. Awareness is slow enough to see what is happening without immediately becoming part of it. Every time you react without awareness, energy is disturbed. Attention is thrown outward, emotion is activated, and the nervous system shifts into defense. This creates inner noise. Awareness interrupts this process by inserting space between stimulus and response. Most inner contamination is created in that missing space. A word is spoken, a look is given, a memory is triggered, and the body reacts before the mind understands. The reaction might be anger, withdrawal, justification, or fear. In that moment, energy spikes and scatters. The body tightens, breath shortens, thoughts race. This is corruption, not because reaction is bad, but because it is unconscious. Awareness restores order by allowing the system to observe itself. When awareness is present, the first thing that changes is breath. Breath becomes deeper, slower, and more stable. This alone alters the quality of energy. With stable breath, emotion loses urgency, thought loses speed. The mind no longer needs to protect itself from every sensation. Awareness does not suppress reaction, it witnesses it. By witnessing, reaction loses its automatic power. It still arises, but it no longer controls behavior. Awareness also reveals patterns. Without awareness, reactions feel justified and personal. With awareness, you begin to see repetition. The same triggers produce the same responses. The same emotional loops replay in different situations. Seeing this is not judgment, it is clarity. Clarity cleans energy because it removes confusion. When you understand your patterns, you stop feeding them unconsciously. Energy that was trapped in repetition becomes free. Reaction is rooted in past conditioning. Awareness exists only in the present. This is why awareness is cleansing. It brings attention out of memory and into direct experience. In the present moment, there is less to defend. The body relaxes because the threat is no longer imagined. The mind becomes quiet because it is no longer narrating. Energy settles because it is no longer pulled in multiple directions. Another way awareness cleans is by reducing internal conflict. Reaction often creates regret. Words are spoken too quickly. Actions are taken impulsively. Later, the mind replays and criticizes. This cycle creates additional tension. Awareness prevents this chain from starting. When you act from awareness, even difficult actions leave less residue. Energy remains clean because there is no inner contradiction. Awareness also changes how emotion is experienced. In reaction, emotion is overwhelming. In awareness, emotion is information. It is felt fully but not exaggerated. This balanced experience allows emotion to pass through without sticking. Energy remains fluid instead of becoming dense. Fluid energy does not linger. It moves and clears itself naturally. Practicing awareness does not mean constant vigilance. It means returning again and again to the body, the breath, and the present sensation. Simple attention to posture, to breathing, to the feeling of the ground under your feet. These anchors keep awareness active. When awareness is active, reaction loses speed. Even a slight delay is enough to prevent corruption. Over time, awareness becomes your default state. You begin to notice disturbance before it becomes chaos. A subtle tightening in the chest, a shift in tone, a thought forming. At this stage, cleaning happens instantly. Energy does not accumulate because it is released at the moment of disturbance. Life feels simpler, not because it is controlled, but because it is met directly. Awareness also affects how others experience you. When you are aware, your presence is stable. You listen without preparing responses. You speak without excess. This stability influences the environment. Conflict softens. Tension reduces. This is not because you are passive, but because your energy is not reactive. Clean energy does not amplify disturbance. It absorbs and neutralizes it. Integrity strengthens your presence because alignment removes friction inside you. When what you think, what you say, and what you do are not aligned, Energy is constantly being wasted. The mind argues with itself. The body carries tension from choices that feel wrong. This internal conflict weakens presence. Integrity is not about morality or perfection. It is about coherence. When there is coherence, energy moves in one direction instead of pulling itself apart. Every time you act against what you know to be true, a small fracture forms inside. It may seem insignificant in the moment, but repetition deepens the crack. Saying yes when you mean no, remaining silent when clarity is needed. Acting for approval instead of principle. Each of these creates inner noise. That noise dulls awareness and destabilizes energy. Presence becomes inconsistent because the system no longer trusts itself. Integrity restores trust within. When your actions reflect your values, the mind relaxes. There is no need to rehearse explanations or justify decisions. The nervous system settles because it is not preparing for internal conflict. This calm is felt immediately by others. Presence becomes steady not because you are trying to be strong, but because nothing inside you is resisting itself. Integrity also simplifies decision-making. Without it, choices are weighed down by fear, image, and external pressure. Energy is spent calculating outcomes and managing impressions. With integrity, decisions become clear. You may still feel discomfort, but there is no confusion. Clarity conserves energy. Conserved energy strengthens presence. People sense this clarity even when they disagree with your choice. Another aspect of integrity is consistency. When your behavior changes depending on who is watching, energy becomes unstable. You are constantly adjusting, performing, and protecting an image. This constant adjustment drains vitality. Integrity removes the need for performance. The same principles guide you in public and in private. This consistency creates groundedness. Groundedness gives presence weight. Integrity does not mean rigidity. It does not mean refusing to adapt or learn. It means being honest about your current level of understanding and acting from it. When you admit uncertainty instead of pretending confidence, integrity is maintained. When you acknowledge limits instead of hiding them, presence deepens. Authenticity strengthens energy because nothing is being hidden or defended. When integrity is absent, the body reacts even if the mind denies it. Tension appears in the jaw, shoulders, or stomach. Sleep becomes restless. Focus weakens. These are signs of misalignment. The body responds to truth faster than the intellect. Restoring integrity relieves these signals. Energy becomes available again because it is no longer used to suppress discomfort. Integrity also affects how you speak. Words carry more weight when they are backed by action. Even simple statements feel solid. There is less need to convince, less need to repeat. Presence is amplified because your words are supported by your behavior. Silence also becomes more powerful. When you choose not to speak, it is not avoidance, it is restraint. Restraint rooted in integrity feels calm, not tense. Living with integrity requires awareness. You must notice when you are about to compromise yourself for comfort or approval. This moment is often subtle. A slight hesitation, a quiet discomfort. Listening to these signals prevents long-term damage. Each time you honor them, your system strengthens. Energy becomes cleaner because it is not mixed with regret. Integrity also builds self-respect. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is stability. When you respect yourself, you do not seek validation aggressively or avoid criticism defensively. Presence becomes neutral and confident. Others feel safe around this energy because it is predictable and sincere. Over time, integrity becomes visible without explanation. People may not know your beliefs or intentions, but they sense reliability. Trust forms naturally. This trust is not demanded, it is offered. Presence becomes influential without force. The body stands differently. The gaze steadies. movement becomes economical. Energy no longer leaks through doubt or contradiction. What you consume shapes your aura because everything you allow into your system leaves a trace. The body and mind are not separate from the environment. They are constantly absorbing, processing, and responding. Consumption is not limited to food. It includes words, images, conversations, sounds, and even the emotional states of people around you. Each input carries a certain quality, and over time, these qualities accumulate to form your inner atmosphere. When consumption is unconscious, the system becomes overloaded. Excess information creates mental noise. Constant exposure to conflict, comparison, and negativity agitates the nervous system. The mind stays alert even when there is no immediate threat. This prolonged alertness disturbs energy. Rest becomes shallow, focus weakens. The aura feels scattered because attention is pulled in too many directions. Food affects energy more than most people realize. Heavy, processed, or excessive eating dulls sensitivity. The body uses a large amount of energy just to digest. When digestion is burdened, vitality decreases, clarity fades. This does not mean restriction or control, but awareness. Eating with attention allows the body to regulate itself. Clean input supports clean energy. Information consumption is equally influential. Endless scrolling, constant updates, and repeated exposure to dramatic content train the mind to seek stimulation. Silence begins to feel uncomfortable. Stillness feels empty. This dependency weakens inner stability. The aura becomes reactive because it is constantly being provoked. Reducing unnecessary input restores sensitivity. Sensitivity allows discernment. Discernment protects energy. Conversations shape energy through resonance. When you repeatedly engage in gossip, complaint, or judgment, those patterns echo internally. Even if you remain silent, listening has an effect. The mind absorbs tone and intention, not just words. Over time, this creates emotional residue. Choosing conversations that are honest, calm, and purposeful reduces contamination. It is not about isolation, but selectivity. The environment you spend time in also leaves an imprint. Crowded, noisy, or chaotic spaces demand constant adaptation. This adaptation consumes energy. Nature, simplicity, and order allow the system to relax. When the body does not need to defend or adjust, energy cleans itself. This is why even brief moments in quiet spaces restore balance. Emotional consumption is often overlooked. Absorbing the stress, anger, or anxiety of others without awareness burdens your system. Empathy without boundaries leads to exhaustion. Awareness allows you to feel without carrying. You can be present without absorbing. This distinction keeps energy clean while remaining connected. Habits are a form of consumption repeated over time. Late nights, irregular routines, and constant stimulation disrupt rhythm. The body thrives on consistency. When rhythm is stable, energy flows smoothly. When rhythm is broken, energy becomes erratic. Simple habits, practiced consistently, create a stable inner environment. Consumption also includes self-talk. The way you speak to yourself feeds the mind. Harsh inner dialogue creates tension. Doubt weakens presence. Repetitive negative thoughts become a form of mental pollution. Observing and adjusting this dialogue cleans energy at a deep level. Language shapes perception. Perception shapes experience. Choosing what to consume is an act of self-respect. It is not about avoiding the world, but engaging with it consciously. Every choice sends a signal to the nervous system about what matters. Over time, these signals form patterns. Patterns become states. States become your presence. When consumption is intentional, less is needed. Sensitivity increases. Satisfaction comes faster. The system becomes efficient. Energy that was previously wasted on processing excess becomes available for awareness and action. The aura becomes coherent because inputs are aligned with needs. Calm replaces agitation. Focus replaces distraction. The inner environment becomes stable and clear. A calm mind radiates silent power because power is not force, noise, or dominance. It is stability. When the mind is calm, energy is no longer wasted on unnecessary movement. Thoughts slow down, emotions settle, and attention becomes steady. This steadiness creates a presence that is felt without explanation. Calm does not demand an attention. It naturally attracts it because it signals control. Most people associate power with intensity, raised voices, strong opinions, constant motion. But intensity is often compensation for inner disorder. When the mind is unsettled, it seeks to assert itself outwardly. A calm mind has no need to prove. It does not rush to respond or react. This restraint gives weight to every movement and every word. Silence becomes meaningful because it is chosen, not forced. Calmness begins in the nervous system. When the body feels safe, the mind relaxes. Breath becomes slow and deep. Muscles release unnecessary tension. In this state, perception sharpens. You see more while doing less. This efficiency is power. Energy is conserved and directed rather than scattered. Directed energy has impact even when expressed minimally. A calm mind also creates emotional resilience. Emotions still arise, but they do not overwhelm. They are experienced fully and released quickly. This prevents accumulation. Without emotional buildup, the mind remains clear. Clarity allows accurate judgment. Accurate judgment leads to effective action. Power is not in acting often, but in acting precisely. Silence plays an important role in this process. Silence is not absence, it is space. In space, awareness expands. You begin to notice subtle shifts in yourself and others. Tone, posture, timing. These details are invisible to a restless mind. A calm mind reads the environment without effort. This awareness allows you to respond appropriately rather than react impulsively. Calmness also influences communication. When the mind is calm, speech slows. Words are chosen carefully. There is no urgency to fill gaps or dominate conversations. This makes listening deeper. Others feel heard. Trust builds. Influence increases without persuasion. People are drawn to calm energy because it feels safe and grounded. A calm mind is difficult to provoke. This does not mean it is passive or submissive. It means it is selective. Not every stimulus deserves a response. This selectivity protects energy. When energy is protected, it accumulates. Accumulated energy creates presence. Presence alters the atmosphere without confrontation. Calmness is often mistaken for indifference, but it is engagement without attachment. You are involved, but not entangled. This balance allows you to act firmly without hostility and to stand your ground without aggression. Strength expressed through calmness feels natural and stable. Inner calm also reduces fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty and mental noise. When the mind is quiet, fear has less ground to stand on. Decisions become simpler. Confidence emerges not from certainty about outcomes, but from trust in your ability to handle whatever arises. This trust is a deep form of power. Calmness requires discipline. It is not the absence of challenge, but the ability to remain steady within it. Each time you choose breath over impulse, observation over reaction, you train the system. Over time, calm becomes your baseline. Stress still appears, but it passes through without leaving residue. The presence of a calm mind affects the body's posture and movement. Gestures become economical. There is no wasted effort. This economy makes actions feel deliberate and grounded. Others perceive this as authority, even if no authority is claimed. A calm mind does not seek control over others. It maintains control over itself. This self-control is sensed immediately. It changes how people interact with you. Confrontation softens. Respect arises naturally. The power is silent because it does not need to announce itself. When these principles come together, something fundamental shifts. Stillness clears the noise. Emotional release removes weight. Awareness prevents contamination. Integrity stabilizes direction. Conscious consumption protects your inner space. And calmness becomes the natural expression of all of it. None of these are techniques to escape life. They are ways of meeting life without being fragmented by it. The work is internal, quiet, and often unnoticed, yet its effects are unmistakable. Your energy stops leaking through reaction, contradiction, and excess. Presence becomes steady because it is no longer built on effort. What you carry inside begins to match how you move in the world. There is less need to explain, defend, or prove. The mind is clear enough to see, the body relaxed enough to respond, and the inner state stable enough to remain untouched by unnecessary disturbance. This is not something added to you. It is what remains when interference is removed. When the inner environment is clean, strength expresses itself naturally. Influence becomes effortless, and your presence speaks before words are ever needed.